and welcome to another episode of Schiffbauer Over Rocks. Today I have Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer of the York County Economic Alliance and Downtown Incorporated. I know that's really mouthful, ladies and gentlemen. Katie Mahoney. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Paul. Excited
Absolutely.
to be here.
No, I know you told me you've been checking out the show for a little bit now, and we've known each other for a while, just, being people of York.
Absolutely. I mean, you're in the heart of downtown. I feel like it's a good place for me to be.
I'm happy to have you on. Yeah. That being said, so what brought you to York in the first place?
So I came to York. It's been 13 years. So lucky number 13, I'm going to say.
Jury's still out, but no, I think it'd be good.
It's March. It's real early.
Yeah.
The year could still go. But I moved here from Western PA. I took a job with the YCEA of York 13 years ago, and I moved to York. And I'm at the YCEA in Downtown Inc. now, but I chose to build my life in York. There's some people that are born and raised here and they love it and they stay, and that's awesome, and you want more of that. But I think it also is a unique perspective when you come from the outside and see all of these really cool things happening and decide this is the place I want to build my life.
It is really unique. I mean, I can say I fit the profile from York County, essentially born and raised here. Choose to stay here, but you're Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. It's little York, of all places, you get to know, you take a job here, and it's your home now. Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah. And I had opportunities over the years where I could have left. I could have gone back to Pittsburgh. I could have moved out to Philly. I could have, chosen a different path. But there's something about York that it's small town. It's big city. It's everything that you could really need kind of wrapped up into one. And once you fall in love with the town, you don't want to leave. So
I tell people it's York's like a mini Baltimore.
Okay.
In a way where, you have these really eclectic different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice mix of people and culture.
It is.
And I just thought about it for the first time. York County is really a microcosm of Pennsylvania as a whole.
Oh, for sure.
If you think about it, just how rural the area is. Mm-hmm. You have your pockets of suburbs and affluent areas, and then you still have that city presence.
Yeah. That's actually a really good way of putting it.
I never thought about it literally till right now.
It's impressive on the fly like that.
I usually tell people, no offense to people in other areas of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Alabama in the middle. Outside York, I put an asterisk. I'm it's a greater Baltimore, suburb or area. It's unique.
Yeah.
In its sense,
Yeah, it really is. It does. And like you said, it kind of has a little bit of something for everyone, which makes it really unique. And I think something that I didn't realize either till I moved to this part of the state is I would say to my parents, oh yeah, I'm heading out to the beach for the weekend. They're you're going to drive 7 hours to the beach? I'm I'm going to drive 3.
Which is insane to them coming from.
Right. So you're so close to so many things. Or I said we went to the Cherry Blossom Festival in DC. And they're did you spend the night? I'm nope. Drove down, drove back.
Just drove down.
So
weekend trip.
And they're not that far from here. They're just in Western PA. So the difference between just that 3 hours from them to me, you realize how much this area really opens up for you.
I tell people it's a middle point of a compass. When people ask me where I'm from when I'm traveling, I'm all right. So if you don't know where York is, I'm Baltimore, DC. I'm directly north, an hour and a half, depending if you're talking about Baltimore, DC, and then Philly, 2 hours west, directly smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do a lot of, especially for downtown New York, we do a lot of promotions to try to bring overnight guests in from out of town. And we're targeting Philly and DC. And those sound like crazy metros, but it's the perfect amount for an overnight stay. I'm going to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to see a show. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have a couple drinks. I'm not driving all that way back. I'm going to stay at the Yorktown, Grace Manor. So it's actually the perfect kind of sweet spot for those huge metros to come into York. And those metros too are always looking to kind of get away. They want to get out of these crazy things and get a small town feel. Yeah, and they get it here.
It's a different speed.
It's perfect. Yeah, I'm a little biased, but it's perfect.
You and me both. But I would say, I remember in particular, it's so funny, I had 2 guests on this podcast. Remember Marty, Andy and Bodie? Mm-hmm. They're we can't wait to come back to York.
Oh. My heart.
But literally from Philly and then Jersey.
Yeah.
They stayed just the night, stayed at the Yorktown.
She's Loved it. She's beautiful.
Well, I took them on a tour though. We did a podcast, smoked cigars, got dinner.
Yeah.
Ended up at Grand Flunes.
Natural, as one does.
And, you know.
As one does.
They're like, we got to come back. I'm like, well, come on back.
Oh, for sure. For sure. There's so much to see. And like, honestly, I think that's the best way too, when people bring guests in from out of town and they show them around and you get this like cultivated experience. That's what makes them want to come back more and more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because otherwise you come in and you're like, there's 1,000 things to do. And there really are. But you don't know where to start. So it's, it's a good problem to have. But having that like personal guide is it's a guaranteed return.
When I ask this, even if you might have a personal bias, what's the coolest thing for you to do?
Coolest thing for me?
Like in York or just like York County in general?
York County. I mean, this is sort of like, kind of like my perfect day type of thing in York County.
Yeah, no. Let's hear it.
I have a dog. She's 9, so she's like not the most mobile anymore.
She's adorable though.
The cutest thing in the world.
Might have to throw a
Slightly
picture up, Molly.
biased. Cutest thing in the world. She's a rescue pit bull. Highly recommend a rescue pit bull. 10 out of 10. So my favorite thing is to like take her for like a walk, a hike to a park, which again, tons of those all over York County. Maybe see some water, go down to Wrightsville, something like that, and then spend the day outside. So we have lunch outside somewhere, we get a cocktail somewhere, we meet up with friends for dinner. Like you can spend your whole
day outside.
Saturday outside with the best dog in the world. And so for me, like that's kind of the best part is that no matter how you want to curate your day, those options exist. So mine is let's be outside, let's go to parks, let's have a cocktail on a patio. I'm using the word cocktail on a patio. But if you're
I could go for one right now.
Right? I know. If it wasn't 40 degrees outside.
Yeah.
We're so close.
This would be summertime. This comes out, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true.
But still, yes.
Yes,
it's
I
a
could
little
go
cold
for a
right
cocktail on a patio as well, since it is 75 today. But I think the coolest thing too about York is like that's my experience. But if the thing you want to do is tour art galleries, learn history, like those things all exist too.
Yeah.
So it's like every time your friends come to visit, it's like a totally different experience, and I think that's the coolest thing. It's not like I mean, I grew up going to Pittsburgh all the time, and it was like there's a couple key things you're going to do in Pittsburgh. Beyond that, it's up to you. But in York, it's like you're cultivating all these different experiences, and I love that.
It's like these little niches almost.
Yeah.
Where like if you like the micro interests almost.
Yeah. In a really small area. Like York County's not that big.
No,
York City's small.
I joke. You can get really anywhere in the county within 30 minutes.
Oh, I know.
Outside Hanover. No offense to Hanover.
Hanover is still York County.
It is. No,
They will tell you
Hanover's got
different.
character.
Hanover is still York County, and we love them dearly. And again, if you were big about like brewery options, Hanover
They got a scene out here.
And they have no open container policy, so you can get your beer.
It's
you
like
can
New
wander
Orleans.
through. It is. Yes, it
I'm
is.
speaking Creole all of a sudden, but
I love a good accent thrown in. That is the New Orleans of York County, is Hanover. And I think they should capitalize on it.
that may or may not go on the board for the economic alliance, but I like that.
Honestly, I stand by it. I don't think we need to edit that out. I think they would be proud.
They have that kind of
It's
atmosphere, though. They
underutilized.
have a real nice squares rather, like a nice walking space in downtown Hanover.
Great walking space in downtown Hanover. Again, a lot of history. Awesome, cute little shops in that area too. I mean, you could spend the day. You're so close to Gettysburg. So there's a lot of opportunity in the Hanover area. And again, I can't say it enough. They have no open container policy, and it is a gem.
That was one of the best things during COVID here. That's the only COVID mention I'll make during this podcast. When York City opened up for a little bit, I'm like, is this real? I'm like, this is great. This should happen all the time.
I know. And if you were at St. Patrick's Day this weekend, I don't think there's no container policy there either.
I stayed in intentionally, Katie, because I'm like, I'm over 30 now. There's like, well,
I mean, it's
I
our
know you
job
had to be out.
Part of the chaos.
I know you have to be. I was out Friday all day. I'm like, Saturday, I'm staying in.
I mean, honestly.
Sunday, staying in.
I mean, there's nothing better though. Like St. Patrick's Day this year, beautiful weather.
It looked like it was a great turnout
Oh
downtown
my gosh.
for everybody.
Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and like
I heard
that's
the
fantastic.
parade was one of the highest attendance in years.
Yeah.
Years.
And honestly, the biggest reason is the weather.
Which is great.
Yeah. Not
We
that,
had
not that I'm talking about weather, but
Well,
like
no, we hit the fall spring perfectly, folks. If you're from Pennsylvania or Maryland, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. It's like it's not the real spring. It's just like, ooh, like
it's just a
the weather's great. And
it's a tease where you put away your
now
winter
it's 40
coats.
degrees again here. But then we get spring like in a week or two, and we're good.
Yeah. Love Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's mid-Atlantic for you. So I gotta ask, it's with the Economic Alliance and what you do at Downtown Inc. It's how do you really like work with businesses to like really put them out there and make them stand out?
Sure. So the best part of my job is telling the story of York. And you best tell that story by the businesses that choose to be here, the people that pour their heart into being here. So, we do a lot of really cool things, and we do business financing, and we do promotions, and we do these like awesome capital projects. We do all of this awesome stuff. But my job, and the best part I think of our whole organization, is that like then telling that story. So I get to tell the story about like the small business owner who just had a dream. It was their side hustle. And then they opened a market stand. Now they have a storefront. Now they're bottling and selling on Amazon. And then they're getting like loans and grants to expand their business and hire employees. Like that's the best part of everything that we do, is just telling the stories of the people who chose to build a life here, build a career here, launch a business here. That takes a lot. I mean, that takes a lot of heart,
absolutely.
a lot of passion.
I see it too in my own field with my own consultancy.
Yeah. So that's the best part of my role, is getting to tell the stories about those that choose York one way or another, business, life, professionally, to raise their family, anything. And those are the stories that other people care about. So you hear that story, and that's why you come to visit. That's why you open a business here. That's why you move here.
Well, it resonates too. It's just like, I feel like this almost like communal, like tribal aspect. It's just like that person's like me.
Yeah.
Or like I have a similar story, or I can relate to this.
Absolutely.
Where it builds like a real culture and community that way when the stories are advocated.
It really does, because if you see somebody that's like you, you trust that if they can do it, you can do it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you start talking with them and you start getting to know them and you hear their story and you like them, it's even that much more, you want to do business or align yourself with people that you like and you trust.
Absolutely. No, 100%.
Yeah. So the more we tell those stories, the more we get those stories out there about York and why it's great one way or another, big business, small business. It just helps other people realize how great we know York is. So,
We're biased.
a little bit.
How do you feel like business owners and just entrepreneurs in general can strengthen what they do to like market themselves or position themselves, especially from your position in particular?
Sure.
That you're in.
It's, I'm not a small business owner, so I never try to like pretend that I know what it's like, but we work with small business owners and you hear their stories all the time.
Well, that's huge consideration.
Yeah.
Katie, right off the rip, it's just like, I know a lot of small business owners, but never been one.
Right. I'm not one.
That's a huge relationship barrier right there alone.
It is. So like I can give you 1,000 ideas, but I also know that I use the example all the time. If you make really great cupcakes and someone's like, you should start a business. So you start a business because you make great cupcakes, but then you're also HR, you're also the CPA, you're also your own marketer. You are 1,000 things. So it's really tough to be all of those things and do all of those things well. And you might not want to do all those things well because you make cupcakes and they're fantastic. And you're like, that's what I like doing. Get out of my space. So, that's really the moment too, where, we say to small business owners, like, if you're finding yourself in that moment, like reach out to us and say like, I need some help. I need some support. We can put tools in place. We can help you partner with other businesses where maybe you don't do marketing, but they do marketing, and you guys can work up some sort of a partnership where you can help each other out, because you can't do it all yourself.
No, absolutely not.
You're one person.
And especially if
24 hours.
a business wants to grow, Katie, I'm a firm believer from my perspective. It's you have to lean on partners.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be like an agency or consultancy. It's like, what are you doing to lean on other people to help you grow?
Yeah. And I think the really cool thing about York now, again, I've been here 13 years.
13 years.
13
Lucky
years.
number 13.
Lucky number 13 is there's a big sense of collaboration versus competitiveness now. So even if you're in the same industry, you're working towards the same goal, there's how can we work on this together to move us both forward versus I'm not going to talk to you because I'm doing this.
Which is great, because I feel like
huge.
I've heard old York used to be the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get it. Like, why would you be partnering with your competitors? Why would you be, giving away any of your trade secrets or things like that? But there's a big sense of collaboration. And so anytime small businesses are like, I need to grow. What do I do? I should be doing more. Like, collaborate with those around you. Everybody wants to lift each other up. It's a really, really great time in the community.
I thought it was really cool. Mesa Mora, newer restaurant downtown.
Yeah.
They mentioned on their Facebook just recently, about a year ago, like the husband and wife were like checking out different spots in New York.
Yeah.
And they made a post how them locating their business in downtown New York was the best decision they could have done.
Yeah.
That was the crux of their post. And they mentioned how the collaboration effort, where they want to see people win, they felt that environment and they had that community, just as you mentioned, which to me is extremely cool for a restaurant and a new restaurant for them to put out publicly just this past week on the date of this recording.
And it's huge. I mean, that's huge, because it wasn't always that way, and not every community is that way.
No, not every individual in community is like that way either.
No.
Good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the reason too, when we do see vacancies pop up in downtown York, as you will, that's the nature of Main Street's nature of business.
That's any community.
Any community.
Good, bad, or ugly.
But we see a very quick backfill for things like that. So we see a lot of interested businesses moving into downtown York because the environment is so supportive. And because the other merchants around them are so supportive and collaborative, that they want to be part of that. They want to be part of like the group that's doing these great things in that district. So I think it just says a lot to the York community as a whole.
I'll give you one curveball.
Ooh.
You mentioned how a backfill of businesses might go out of business, essentially.
Sure.
Why do you feel like businesses might fail in downtown York?
Sure.
It can be broad.
I was going to say, 1,000 reasons, the reasons that everybody
100%.
would think of, you overextend, there's personal things at bay. This was a great idea until you got sick, had kids, any number of things, you can find like kind of 1,000 reasons. I think the reason that some businesses, especially in our community, might not do as well is how much time they put on the forefront of planning going into that.
Okay. No,
So-
I completely agree with you in that sentiment.
So there are some
With any
that-
business owner,
any
downtown
business
York or
owner,
not.
industry, and it's industry wide. Again, I
100%.
use the cupcake example, but you could make cupcakes. You could be a architecture and engineering firm. Do you really need a retail space or a commercial space? Do you really need to be that visible in the downtown community? How much are you going to contribute to the community as well? So are you going to work with your other merchants on promotions and special events and deals, or you just want to come in and do your own thing? And I think those are some of the things that not everybody kind of thinks going in. You think, I can afford the rent. That's good. Expenses are fine.
I'm the best cupcake maker and everyone's going to come for my cupcakes and that's it.
And it's like, what is your sense of community? And how much do you want to contribute to the community that you're in? And that's where, when York is so collaborative right now and so empowering of every other business that's in it, how are you as a business owner going to contribute to that kind of collaboration? And if you aren't, then you're probably not going to make it in downtown York.
That's the hardest question I'm going to ask you. I just had
was
to ask
tough.
because it came up. I'm like, let me just ask it.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I know you
I
enough
was like,
off
it fell
camera.
on the table.
I'm like, let's just ask it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's tough.
it's a good point.
Absolutely.
Because I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, lost my train of thought.
I wish you'd been like, I disagree.
I disagree completely with you, Katie.
You're wrong. It's about marketing.
I had my point. I'm going to sound like a hippie when I say this. But you talking about the communal aspect of this, like marketing and getting involved. I tell folks, you sum up marketing in one word. Marketing is community. People look at me like I have 8 heads, but I'm like, no, it is. It's a fundamental connection to whatever your audience is. If it's a physical or local audience, or is it like an audience online that we're like, hey, I'm going to be like the best supplement company for these bodybuilders and meatheads out there.
Yeah.
Whatever your community is, that's fine. As long as that messaging and your marketing material is resonating with them. That's what marketing is in a nutshell. It's that connection.
They have to know you and like you and trust you.
Correct.
And you can build that however you want.
Yeah. No,
But
it's
that's what it comes down to.
It is different for everybody, and it should be.
Yeah.
People ask me, it's just like, how does this person do this or how do you do that? I'm like, well, you could do this. You should do this to an extent, but everything's different in terms of messaging for you and your customers. Even if you might have similar customers, it's like, how's your business different than this other guy who's serving them?
Yeah.
it's just, you got to really think about it.
Yeah.
And that lens.
And depending on what your customer base is, you're relating to them differently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, the thing that I love about marketing right now in the digital age is it's so creepy. I like one thing. I love it so much. You like one thing on Instagram and it's like, do you want to see these ads? And I'm like, absolutely. I want to see these ads. Thank you so much. And it's great.
And then all of a sudden you're presented, boom, on Facebook.
Right. I'm like, love it.
You'd be at the bar. I've been at the bar having conversations, and all of a sudden I get an ad for a joke that I made. I'm like,
oh, for sure.
No. I do not have cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I'm joking about cancer, ladies and gentlemen.
It's no good. Down on the cancer. But yeah, it's... I was talking to somebody who's like getting his pilot's license and he was talking about flying. And the next day my Instagram was like, do you want to see these videos of flying? I was like, no, I don't. I'm not flying. I don't. Are you
Do you want to go to flight school, Katie?
Right. I was like, and then after a while you're like, I don't know, maybe like sign me up. But I love that about digital marketing because it's so creepy. But it's not even like, as a small business, you're like, I have to be open this many hours. I have to do this. It's like, figure out where your customer base is and how they're finding you and like lean into it. And if it really is, a great example I use is like refillism in downtown York. So it's about like very environmental, like less waste, those types of things. So people are seeing her posts in Baltimore, in Philly, in these like very
resident secondary markets.
Yes.
Or it might be worthwhile for them to travel up for a weekend or a day trip
to
check out the location.
And she's popping up in their feeds because they like things that are similar to that, and she's the closest store to them. So like it's genius. So when you talk about like the bodybuilders and these supplements, I'm like, yeah, you like one workout video and they're like, do you want the supplement? After a while you're like, all right.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
let's try.
Well, a reference X to Matt Lane. That was hilarious, that podcast that we did a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, House of Gains.
That dude is awesome. Yeah. You ever had the chance to meet him?
I have not met him. I just shop at House of Gains, so like I know. I saw him. I was like, oh, Matt.
I want to tell him you got a shout out today.
Yeah,
He's
House of
Gains.
Proud customer. If you need like an ambassador or influencer or something you give discounts to, I love it in there.
He's a really good guy. It was so funny. Tangent. Had him on a guest on my podcast. People were like, so how long do you know Matt Lane? I'm like, that's the first time I met him in person.
Oh, wow.
On camera.
That's a bold move. Just being like, I don't know you, but let's put you on a camera.
We got an intro between two really good friends.
Nice.
Mutuals. Messaged a little bit, but you don't know how chemistry's going to be.
No.
Like, you and I have had lunch before.
Yeah.
So we know each other. It's one thing. But it's like him, it's just like, oh, wait. Who's this guy? Like, are we actually going to like each other? Like, we had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That was a good one. He was great. He's awesome.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. I would expected him to be awesome, and he was. So.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited about right now with what you're working on that you can divulge in?
Ooh. We've spent the last year really putting a lot of dollars into destination marketing, trying to bring people from outside of York County into the county through the Explore York Tourism Grant, which has been fantastic. And this year, we put into place a software called Placer AI.
Okay.
And Placer tracks foot traffic data.
Interesting.
Which is amazing. And if you're like a data junkie, and you don't mind like a little bit of how creepy things are, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. That's big for retail.
It is. It's huge, and it shows us the last 7 years, so it'll show us pre-pandemic numbers. Like I can look at
how do they track that?
Through cell phone data. So every time you're trying to read an article,
that is crazy.
When you're on like CNN and you're like, yeah, accept all cookies. That's us taking your data.
Yeah, it's one of these large companies selling out to you guys, but tactfully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we can't contact you. So I would say like you're accepting to be tracked, but I can't send you a message. But it's fantastic. And they contract with all of these like really big companies to do this. So we're following I can see the roads that you take in to come into downtown York. I can see where you park your car. Not like you, Paul, where you park your car, but like in general.
I want to be looking around my shoulder now.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's like, I'm going to stop accepting cookies. I'm like, do not continue to accept the cookies. I need you to. Downtown York needs you to accept the cookies. But I can see like we had, 8,000 people that typically come into Go Green in the city that we host in April.
Yeah.
Where they came in.
Is it 420 this year?
No, it's 427 because I wasn't doing Go Green on 420.
It's good from an optic standpoint. Not to catch you off guard.
They're like, it's gonna be on 420. I was like, it absolutely will not be on 420.
I saw someone doing something for recycling green related on 420.
Yes, you can recycle. It's
But
close to
there
Earth
are-
Day.
Great on the Alliance's part. There's certain
Yes.
optics where
I'm not hosting a festival called Go Green on 420.
for 20, no, it's not going to go over
From
well.
the PR standpoint.
But back to the cookies.
Back to the cookies. So I can say like, okay, 8,000 people came into downtown York for Go Green. So they came in, they parked here. They clearly came into Beaver Street. And then where did they go? So did they stay at the Yorktown Hotel? Did they go to Fig and Barrel?
I'm never
Did
driving to
they,
York again.
Again, downtown York needs you to accept the cookies. But it's amazing and it's awesome because then I can say like, we see a lot of like, they'll come into the Appel Center and then where do they go afterwards? Yorktown Hotel, Fig and Barrel, because like who's open?
And then I'm sure you can profile from an audience standpoint. Okay,
Men, women,
this event's going
demographic.
on.
Yep.
This group goes here based on this event.
Yep. Exactly. Men, women, age demographic, where they came from.
Even if you only have that information, that's enough to make some calculated decisions when it comes to marketing.
It is. So that's the thing that I am most excited
That's
about.
really cool.
Is
The
invading
nerd in me
privacy.
gets really excited. Not the invading privacy part, but the data part.
It's very cool. And it's the answer to the question. Like you spend all of this, and even, if you're not doing paid promotions, you're just a small business promoting yourself in downtown York. Is it working? Is anything I'm doing working? Is it bringing people in? And we can say like, actually it is. Or it's not. We're prepared to share that data too.
And that's
work with our
important, that
partners.
transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely.
That's what I like to tell clients. I'm like,
Yeah.
give us 90 days on my end. I'm like, we'll tell you what's working, what's not based on your setup.
Yeah. And you need that because otherwise it's just darts in the dark. And for a long time, that's what marketing was. You don't know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we just got to change that for what you're doing from an organizational standpoint and what I'm doing privately.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you're a big networker.
Yes.
You got to give me some tips, or give people tips out there rather.
Networking tips.
You network more than me. You might network more than anyone in your county. I remember one of the first times I met you, we got lunch. You're like, there's over 100 events a year I go to. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
Some more of this tequila in this cup. Yeah, we do. I mean, look how far we've come.
It is a miniature, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a small. It's like, look at my hand.
I got a really petite. It's it works.
It's not a full bottle. It's meant for one. It's a single serve.
It is meant for Schiffbauer Over Rocks.
So networking tips. So we do about 100 events a year.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include the ones that we go to like as a sponsor and proud partner of
Absolutely.
other things.
Some third-party events.
Yes. My most favorite networking tip is I just tell people it's great to see them because I don't know if it is the first time or the 10th time that I have gotten to see them.
Yeah.
So when they walk up and they're like, "Hi," I'm like, "Great to see you. I don't know your name or how many times I've met you, but that's okay. You don't need to," because the worst thing is when you're like, "Oh, so nice to meet you," and they're like, "We've met." And you're like, oh, "Okay." So that's my best networking tip.
I just say I'm drunk. I was drunk. I'm kidding.
I was drunk. You're like,
I'm
I
kidding.
blacked out. I'm gonna start using that.
I am kidding.
He's not. I've heard him say it. I've been in this role for 7 years, so maybe I'll just float that out and start trying it and see what my boss says.
Or you can just mess with people like, I'm kidding. It's so great to see you again, Felicia.
They'll be like, "That's not." He'll be like, "That's not my name." I'm like, I was close.
Sorry, Megan.
Yeah, so that's probably my best networking tip. I always tell my team too. I'm like, when you go in, like it's York County. Like after a while, you know everybody in the room.
You have regulars
like,
in
look
certain
around.
networking circles.
Find the people you don't know.
It's easy.
It is. So like I try to look for the people that I don't know and walk up and introduce myself because most of the time you do know them. And if everybody's in the room, chances are if you walk up and introduce yourself, like they're usually pretty nice. Like if I ever introduce myself to somebody, they're like, "Please go away."
Typically, that person is like, they're a little uncomfortable because they're new in the room or look newer in the room from your perspective or my perspective. So it's like you're breaking the ice with them. And it's like all of a sudden, like, whoa, someone made a friend with me. And then you made a friend.
Yeah. I had an employee at one point and she was like, "I'm really nervous to meet people in new rooms." And I was like, "Look for the people that look as uncomfortable as you." And just go up and be like, "Oh, isn't this so tough being a networking stuff?" And they're like, "Oh my God." And then they like cling to you. And that's A-okay. We've all been on the opposite side where you need someone to cling to. So like, let them cling to you.
I remember it was a couple weeks ago. This guy, visibly nervous, networking. I'm like, this the old like saying. Imagine everyone's just in their underwear in the room. I'm like, I'm kidding. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, great to
I
see
could
you.
really go down a rabbit hole on that. You'll see my face. It'll look different. Like, so if you see me doing that, I'm doing that trick. So.
Oh, yeah, no. Trick's not working tonight.
Mistake. Backpedal.
No, just talk to the general. No, I'm like, hey, man, we've all had our first time. It's no big deal. For all people of networking, I'm told him, it's like probably a third of the people here, they're just as comfortable, if not more uncomfortable than you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he's cool. He did well after that.
And it's always, like, networking stuff is just, it's always so awkward. And, like, I mean, let's be honest. It's low-key awful. Like, I don't want to walk in a room and tell 100 people what I do every single day. I'm like, but like you find a handful of people and you build a connection because you're there to build a connection.
Yeah.
It's not a business card swap. I'm not trying to know every person in the room.
No, it's like
find a
I
handful of
always
people
tell
I like.
people 1 or 2 connections if I can leave the room.
Yes.
It's either build a rapport with someone I've met before.
Yeah.
Where like we don't necessarily have like, how can I build upon the relationship if I run into them?
Yeah.
1 or 2, if I meet someone new, I want to be like authentic, not just to get the business card.
Right.
Have like an actual 5-10 minute conversation and go from there.
Yeah. And it takes a couple of times of like running into someone before you can like really
Absolutely
get to know them. So, yeah.
You just can't like window shop when it comes to networking.
No. I'm
But
always amazed.
That's a huge misconception. Even like people older than you and I, it's nuts seeing it out. Like, how long have you been in business? This is how you operate? My favorite, I tell folks, I'm like, it's the boomer trick, where they like, go up to you for like 2 minutes. Hey, Katie, real nice to see you. How things been? Oh well, now I gotta go and talk to somebody else within like 2 minutes. Like,
I don't even register that. Like,
No.
I'm like, I don't know who that was.
there's no respect on my radar with that.
No, it doesn't sink.
But there's oodles of people I met like older than us. Like, that's how they network.
It's like a boomer sales thing.
Yeah, like that's like they're out. We're like, we might have more creative outs.
Yeah.
I usually say I need to get another drink or I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's lovely.
Or like, hey, I need to go talk to this person right now. And
Yes.
I'm straight up honest. I'm like, I need to go say something to this person.
Yes. See, the card I have up my sleeve is that we often run events. So a lot of times I'll be like, oh, excuse me, there's an event concern over here I need to address. And then I just leave the conversation.
And you can. That's an easy out.
It is.
Out,
And chances are there's probably something going wrong. We do 100
Yeah,
events.
absolutely.
Something's probably on fire.
You're checking comms.
Right, absolutely. I'm like, please excuse me. Some people always understand that. Follow me for more tips on how to avoid talking to people. I have a separate podcast on how to avoid talking to your family. Private donor event.
To say you have a private donor event, ladies and gentlemen, you're good to go.
Yes, if your family's like, oh my gosh, we would love to come see you suddenly with no explanation, you tell them you have a private donor event that they don't know about because it's private and it's donors. It's very important, and they always understand. And now I won't be sending this link to my mother, so she can't know our trade secrets.
You just gotta put that filter on Facebook or something when you share it. If you share it,
She doesn't know what the Facebook is, so I'm safe.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's big.
it is big. Let's keep it that way. Don't join her on Facebook.
Unfortunately, my mother's user on Facebook.
Oh, God love you.
It's okay.
My dad doesn't even. My dad would be like, text your mother. I'm like, you don't have a cell phone. He's like, I don't know what texting is. But your mother seems really into it. I'm like, all right. I could send this link and they would be like, I don't even know how to operate this link. You should have them on your podcast. My dad will drink
I love older folks.
all of your liquor and my mom will criticize everything in this room.
That's perfect. It sounds like the regulars who used to come to my dad's bar.
They would love that.
Perfect. Was at head of bar for 23 years. It was older folks.
Really?
Primarily.
Where was the bar?
It was North Baltimore.
Oh, like
So it was-
I say that like I'm not going to know.
It's Mount Washington, Roland Park area, Baltimore City.
Okay.
So right before like the Baltimore City, Baltimore County line.
What was the kind of bar? Like, what was the vibe?
So it was a neighborhood bar.
Love it.
It's like a Philly corner bar, but like not on the corner.
Yeah.
Older tavern. Really in a nice ritzy area, but you had like a bunch of locals who were like contractors, trashmen, you
Sure.
name it, all across the spectrum. Where someone would be coming in who could be worth $10 million sitting next to literally a trash bin.
Yeah. So you get like some Blantons and some Coors Light, like everything in between.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Worked there part-time growing up through my really early 20s before we sold it.
That's awesome.
It was like, I told folks during the day, Katie, it was like a Budweiser and like Jack Daniels kind of bar. And like nighttime, that's when it'll switch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Do a cocktail here and there, nothing crazy.
I love that.
Any last words? I know Marty's.
Oh my God. I have said too many words. So
We might have to edit this, ladies and gentlemen. We may not.
I can't wait.
You have to wait and see. Katie, absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, everybody. We love York.